Hey, it's Kisha with Keep It Plain Travel here, and there is a great resort in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico that you would love to visit. But there's some things you need to know first, so let's get into it. So, these are my things you need to know before booking at this resort in Puerto Vallarta. Now, this is just my opinion, maybe a little biased, maybe not, but we're just having a conversation, me and the screen here, and I'm gonna tell you my thoughts about this resort. So this is the Harmony Luxury Resort and Spa, the part of the Marival Collection, and it's in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, more known as Puerto Mita. So there's certain parts of Puerto Vallarta that have different types of hotels, and this one is in Puerto Mita. So this is in no specific order. These are just some things that I feel that visitors need to know or guests need to know before they book. It's still a great resort. It's a good resort for somebody that has certain preferences or requirements, but it may not be for everybody. And then of course there are some other things that I'm not going to share here. You have to contact me so we can discuss getting you booked before I give that information up. So first of all, this is an adults only resort. So again, adults only, no children at this resort. And it is about maybe 25 or so minutes from the airport, 25 to 30 or so minutes from the airport in Puerto Vallarta. This area is real jungly or woodsy for the most part, so you just have to be prepared for that, and make sure you do not go during rainy season because of where the resort is, how it sits. If you go during the wrong season, it may not be a good look for you or a very comfortable stay. So a couple things that I noticed was that, one, let's talk about the rooms. So they have, of course, different categories of rooms. And what's good about this resort is they have 1 and 2 bedrooms. So if you're coming with a family or if you're coming with friends, you need a larger space, this resort has that. But there are certain areas of the resort or certain rooms that have been renovated or for the most part or are newer. So they were built more recently than some of the old rooms or buildings. So again, contact me if you're interested in going to this resort and we can get you that information. So in the rooms, now my experience with the room, I stayed in the Harmony room, and it was a 1 king. Actually, it was a double. It was a double Harmony room. It had a patio, it had an ocean view, and it was on a higher floor. What I did notice is that the room had like a mildew smell. Now, it could have been because of the constant moisture in the room. In certain areas, especially those that are closer to the ocean and things of that sort, they have this dampness about them. If you don't keep the patio door closed, then that dampness will come in. But even so, sometimes the room will still have that dampness. But there was a smell in the room. Could have been from the dampness, could have been from the vents for the air conditioning. But other guests that I travel with said they smelled the same thing in their rooms. So keep that in mind. Now, is that a deal breaker? It could be, but it also could be something if your room has that smell, because there was one guest that traveled with us that said they did not have that smell. So if your room does have that smell, that may be an opportunity for you to go to the front, request a different room, possibly an upgrade, something to keep in mind. So the room did have that. I noticed that the bathroom only had a rain shower head. So the bathroom only had a rain shower head. I know for some people that's a non-negotiable. I actually found that it wasn't too bad. It didn't, you were still able to maneuver. You didn't have to stand directly under it if you didn't want to, but that's something that you wouldn't know unless you stayed there before. And for some people, they don't want the rain shower. I know I usually don't use it unless that's the only thing in a shower, or it's just easier to use that than trying to figure out how to use the other components. Another thing I noticed about this resort right away is that there are no golf carts. So if your room is in a building that is a little farther from the lobby area, which my room was closer, was in a building closer to the beach, it was a walk. It wasn't a super long walk, but it was a good 5-minute walk. And in the heat, because it was very hot there, in the summer month that I went, in the heat, that's a walk. So they do have ramps. So if you or anybody you travel with has mobility issues, and has a wheelchair, they do have ramps for that. There are some spaces that do not have a ramp to get to, and just have stairs. So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, there are no golf carts, so you have to walk throughout the property. If your room is farther away, you have to walk to the lobby through the woodsy area of the resort, and hope if you're rushing for dinner or whatever that you get there in time. I did notice also that, let's see, what should we talk about next? There's a few things. I did notice that the restaurants were limited. I will say that. They have about 4 or 5 restaurants. Some range, I would give it a quality of okay to very good. But they only have 5. One is more upscale. And I think there's a price for that. For what I went for, there was no price. But because that was a group dinner, that was already taken care of. But the food is limited. So if you need a lot of food options, this may not be the resort for you. Now, I did experience one of the restaurants, La Bryce, for breakfast. They have a buffet, some decent options, and it was pretty good. I went for breakfast and for lunch. Tried to go for dinner one night and it was closed, so that only left 2 other options. There is a small lobby bar, and you can order food from there as well. There is no coffee shop at this property. There in the morning, the bar will have just regular coffee sitting on the bar, and you can partake in that and pour you a cup of coffee. But there is no, they say they have coffee specialties when the bar opens later in the evening, but by that time, I'm sure people are not necessarily looking for coffee for the most part. So yeah, there's no coffee shop, and I'm used to going to resorts where there is a coffee shop. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I will say, so the pool area, there is a very large pool, and there's actually some smaller pools around the resort, 2 or 3. One is a Zen pool, and it's very quiet. There's a healing sound pool where there's this vibrating sound in the area of the pool. One of those, the healing sound pool is not just open to everybody. You have to be staying in the rooms in that area. But there are like 2 other smaller pools that you can go to. And then there's the big pool, which is very nice. It has an infinity view, or infinity pool type view over into the ocean. And the resort sits on the cliff. So that's something to know. The resort sits on a cliff or on a mountain per se. And it's a good look. So it's a good look over the mountainside. You can see mountains in the distance. You can see the ocean from atop of the property. So that is a good look. Another thing for the pool is that there are a lot of loungers. So you don't have to worry about, especially the main pool, the larger pool, not having anywhere to sit. Now, people do come out to try to reserve their loungers like most people do at resorts. And that can be a little cumbersome, but there's enough for people to sit at the main pool and then the smaller pools as well. The resort does have yoga in the morning. It's supposed to be a more quieter resort. There is light entertainment in the lobby bar. There is some nights you may have a DJ, you may have karaoke, but for the most part, just some overhead music. But for the most part, there isn't a whole lot of activity. There's some daytime activity, but I will say compared to what I've seen at other resorts, it's minimal. It's minimal for what I saw. It could be depending on the season, staffing, things of that sort. But the entertainment is light. So if you are looking for a resort where you need a lot of entertainment, this may not be your option. So I will say for the room, again, for the bathroom, besides the rain shower head, there is like a lip to step into the shower. I know some people have concern about that because it's not a full shower door. And I'm seeing a lot of those bathrooms now where the shower door is not a full door. It's a half glass. Water can spill out sometimes. And that can be just, inconvenient. But there's no ledge or seat in the shower. So for those that need to put their feet up on something or whatever the case may be, you know how you shower. They do not have that in the room that I stayed in the rooms that I saw, depending on which type of room. Some of the upper tiered rooms had like a bench in the bathroom. So for the jacuzzi, this resort, although it has larger pools, there is not a common jacuzzi. So there is a jacuzzi by the main pool, but in order to utilize it, you have to pay, and that cost is $100 per day. So you have to pay for the jacuzzi, which is something I've never seen before. I've never had to pay for a jacuzzi to get into a jacuzzi at an all-inclusive resort. And then the hydrotherapy, there's a jacuzzi in there. But also with that, even if you book a massage, you have to pay for your hydrotherapy separate, which is different. Because usually, at most resorts that I've been to, if you book a massage, the hydrotherapy comes with it. You get there early to go to the hydrotherapy circuit, or you go after your massage. This one, you have to pay extra to access the hydrotherapy circuit, even if you pay for a massage. And it may or may not be worth the extra money, I will say. That is what I would say about this resort. They do have 2 other properties, Marival Emotions, which is family friendly. And I would say that is more budget friendly. Then they have Marival Distinct, which is family friendly, but it does have a little bit of a luxury to it. So if I were to categorize them in order of quality, great to not so great, or great to lower, I would say it would be Marival Distinct, Marival Harmony, and then Marival Emotions. So Marival Distinct, I did see that property, but I did not stay at that property as a guest, but that property is nice. So if I ever go back to Puerto Vallarta and I want to stay with the Marival collection, I would probably visit the Distinct property. So that is some things you need to know if you want to book that resort. Again, don't let the negative I said about the resort, not even negative, it's just my experience. Don't let that sway you. It is a nice resort. It did have some good aspects. And if you need a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom that's not super expensive, this might be a good choice. And then there's so much to do in the area. So stay tuned for the resort tour, the room tour, and more from Keep It Plain Travel.